Today's show is all about spring. Stay tuned, and we'll be interviewing some amazing people who help keep Selby Gardens alive. It's going to be a fun show blooming with information. Let's go! Today's show is brought to you by PNC Wealth Management.
This segment was brought to you by Gracie and Dennis McGillicuddy, helping girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Hi, I'm Desiree.
And I'm Jamie.
And for this segment, I want to tell you some awesome, fun, and exciting things to do in the spring. 1. Get outside. Being outside offers so many fun and exciting things to do. You can go for a ride in the park, hit a nature trail, and even take pictures of your discoveries.
Try a hand at gardening. You'll be amazed at how simple it is to grow your own flowers, plants, and herbs.
3. Take advantage of the wind and fly kites. Find out if there is a kite festival in your area, and if there isn't, host your own. MyBestKite.com offers many sets of instructions on how to build kites appropriate for mild to moderate winds. So with the right materials, you can make your own kite and have a kite party.
Go to the beach. The beach is fun for so many things, like long walks, bike rides, seeing castles, photography, snorkeling, and of course, swimming. Don't forget to wear your sunscreen.
5. Camping. Camping can turn an ordinary day and ordinary things into extraordinary fun. Sleeping under the moon, roasting marshmallows, and telling campfire stories are all wonderful things to do in the spring.
And finally, you could take a trip to one of our area's treasures, Selby Botanical Gardens. With rich history and lush plant life, Selby is both fun and relaxing. Stay tuned and check out Girl TV's trip to Selby. These are just some of our favorite things to do during the spring, but there are so many others.
So get outside and get moving. For Girl TV, I'm Desiree.
And I'm Jamie. Bye!
Hi, I'm Shayla, and for today's spring episode, I will be talking to Mr. Mike McLaughlin, Director of Horticulture from Selby Gardens. Thank you for meeting with me today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for talking to me.
What exactly does a horticulturist do?
Well, a horticulturist is sort of like a super-duper gardener that has the scientific training to really take care of plants. One phrase that I often use is that a botanist knows how plants grow, but a horticulturist knows how to grow plants.
Oh, that's so cool. Maybe I'll use that one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you like most about your job?
Well, the work I do is public horticulture. So I work here at Selby Gardens, and it's two things I really like. One is the work is incredibly diverse. There are no 2 days where I do the same thing over and over. I mean, I might do a similar task, but I can honestly say in the almost 20 years I've been doing this, I've never been bored a day yet at my work. The other thing I really enjoy is that it's very satisfying because people pay money to come and see the work that we do. So unlike, say, landscaping where you may work on a property and then leave, and you might never see it again, we work this piece of ground for years and years and get to see the little trees that we planted this big, see them grow, and see people enjoy them.
Where do you exactly buy the tree plants?
Well, a lot of our plants come from our research staff. When they go on expeditions, they will sometimes collect live plant material. So a lot of the plants you'll see here are a result of that. But we also trade with other botanical gardens. Botanical gardens like to exchange materials with each other. And then some plants we'll get from a garden center like you would. We'll use them for certain projects. So it comes from a diversity of sources.
Cool. What types of flowers bloom in the spring here at Selby?
Well, lots of things come into bloom. It's really quite diverse. A lot of trees come into bloom in the springtime. The tababuya trees you've probably seen around town, the pink and the yellow trees come into flower. Hibiscus come into bloom. Petrea, which is a sandpaper vine, has these lovely hanging clusters of purple flowers. It looks a lot like wisteria up north.
What is your favorite flower or plant that blooms here in the spring?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. One that I really enjoy is one of the flowering trees, Bombax ceiba, or the red floss silk tree. is bare in the springtime. It has no leaves on it, but then it has these massive, I mean this big, red flowers that are a blood red color, and with the blue of the springtime sky, which is such an intense blue, and then this huge tree covered with red flowers. It's a spectacle, and I enjoy it every year. Usually around March it comes into bloom.
Do you think that would come in any other colors like purple or white?
Well, that species does have some variation. There are some orange varieties of it, but it really doesn't vary much from bright red, which is bright red's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that.
How do you decide which plants get planted?
Well, the plants that we have here at a botanical garden are part of a collection. So one analogy I use for people, it's sort of like art at an art museum. The plants here are certainly here to be enjoyed and appreciated, but it's more than that. It's a collection. So we will choose plants to augment our collection, to add. You know, if we're a little weak in one area, we don't have as many orchids from Ecuador as we'd like, we will work to try and add to that. But one thing we have here at Selby Gardens, I can say about our collection, it's tremendously diverse. So we try and have most plant groups represented. So we have, you know, pretty much anything you can imagine, palms and cycads and desert plants and vines, you know. So we really try and have that diversity so when our visitors come, they can learn about all sorts of plants and see them firsthand.
Have you ever lost a lot of your plants during the winter?
Yes, we have. We have. Not recently, even though we've had some cold winters, but historically about every 10 years we'll have a severe freeze here in Sarasota. And even though we're right on Sarasota Bay, where we were offered some protection by the warmth of the water, we'll still get a hard freeze. And we will lose specimens when that happens. The big trees, like the fig we're under here, will have a lot of tip dieback, and the branches will die from the ends, sometimes rather severely. And then tender species like some palms from the rainforest, some of those will just lose altogether. But we'll often replant because we know it's infrequent.
What is required to maintain all the plants and flowers here at Selby?
Well, all the aspects of horticulture, of course, irrigation and fertilization and pruning and mulching are the activities for the outdoor collections. Now we have, as you probably know, a conservatory and a lot of greenhouse collections. Those are plants in containers, and they require a little more care than a plant in the ground. So we'll have to repot those, and when they outgrow their pot, we divide them up and replant in smaller pots. But sort of, you know, the basic horticulture. Of course, in a botanical garden, there are a lot of other tasks that have to be done too, because we're educating about our plants. So we'll write articles, and we'll teach classes, and we'll do interviews, and sort of explain why our plants are here and what's so magnificent about them.
For viewers that are watching, what is the best way to keep the plants safe during the spring?
Well, spring is a pretty safe time, actually, because we've come out of the threat of winter cold, and we're not quite to the threat of hurricanes. So I think the biggest threat to plants in a home garden is drought. Springtime in Florida is the temperatures are increasing, the winds are increasing, but there's no rain. So there's a real concern that plants will just desiccate and dry out. So I would say one of the best things they can do is just keep up with their irrigation, be it by hand with a hose or with their irrigation systems, but they should check. I think that's the biggest thing, and I tell people to use the rule of thumb, which is sort of a joke, but the best way to tell if your plants have enough water is to feel the soil with your finger. Just stick it in the soil, and if it's cool and moist, they're okay. Sometimes people overcompensate, water too much, and rot their plants, so you don't want to go that far.
What advice would you give girls like me who want to get involved with plants and flowers when they grow up?
I think you should grow plants and flowers now. I think would be the first advice is to get into gardening, whether that's house plants at home or a vegetable garden, or you know, here in Sarasota we have a botanical garden at your disposal. So come and visit and explore. You could even become a volunteer here and work with the plants, or take some of our classes and learn about plant groups that you're interested in, such as orchids or bromeliads or things like that. But mostly I would say play with plants.
What ages would you have to be to volunteer?
We normally start with our volunteering with the collections, with horticulture, usually are teen, so about 16 or so. By then they're strong enough to do some of the work. Some of it's physically demanding. So, but then we do have summer camp and things like that where younger kids can get involved. Not volunteering per se, but
Like a camp, like to learn about it.
to learn about our plants. So.
Thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge with us, Mr. Mike. I've learned a lot. For Girl TV, I'm Shayla. Bye. Hi, I'm Shayla.
And I'm Jamie.
And after today's segment, we'll have you blooming with knowledge when you find out what types of flowers are the first on the scene when it's springtime here in Florida.
With the research we did, we found out that the fragrant winter sweet camellia, Latin rose, and snowdrops are the first flowers to bloom here in Florida.
The fragrant winter sweet is a plant that grows up to 15 feet tall and 12 feet wide, according to the USDA hardness zone chart. If you don't know what this is, I'll tell you. This is a special plant chart that tells us what temperatures these plants can grow in.
The camellia is an evergreen shrub that can develop into a height of 20 feet tall. Wow.
The Latin rose actually isn't a member of the rose family, but its flowers are very much like an old-fashioned rose in full bloom.
The flower petals are large-like, reaching up to 3 inches across. There are also various colors for this flower, including pink, purple, white, and even light green.
The last flower we'll be informing you about are snowdrops. This flower goes up to only 10 inches tall. Snowdrops will bloom in late winter to early spring.
This flower is generally white and can have green markings on the petals.
Well, we hope you learned a lot more about what's springing up in our area from today's segment. For Girl TV, I'm Shayla.
And I'm Jamie.
Bye. You're watching Girl TV.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Achoo! It's spring. The trees begin budding and flowers start to bloom, causing allergies for many people. Stay tuned and find out a lot about allergies. First, let's talk about the top 5 worst cities to be in when you have allergies. 1. Knoxville, Tennessee. 2. Louisville, Kentucky. 3. Chattanooga, Tennessee. 4. Dayton, Ohio. And 5. Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, Sarasota is considered one of the best cities to be in when you have allergies. Here are some other symptoms of allergies: sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, difficulty breathing, cramps, and dizziness. But these are only some of the symptoms. Now let's talk about why more people get allergies in spring. Well, the main reason is there is more pollen in spring. The reason why you get allergies by pollen is because when people with allergies get pollen in their face, it irritates the nose and causes the symptoms we talked about. Now you're probably wondering how you can tell allergies from a cold. If you have a fever or any aches or pains, then you most likely have a cold. If you have allergies and pollen is affecting you at all, then here are some suggestions. Stay indoors on dry days. Remove the clothes you wore outside, and pay attention to the pollen count. Achoo! Okay, I think I better head inside. For Girl TV, I'm Rachel. Bye!
Hi, I'm Jamie. Do you know why we set our clocks 1 hour ahead in the spring? Because of daylight savings time. The change to daylight savings time is supposed to allow us to use less energy in lighting our homes by taking advantage of the longer and later daylight hours. We're supposed to set our clocks 1 hour ahead every year. We set it at 2 a.m. on the second Sunday in March. Why do we change it at 2 a.m.? The time was originally chosen because it minimized disruption. It's early enough that the entire continental U.S. switches by daybreak, and the changeover occurs before most early shift workers and early churchgoers could be affected. Here are some facts you probably didn't know about daylight savings time. Daylight saving time has mixed effects on people's health. Transitions into and out of daylight savings time can disturb people's sleeping patterns and make them more restless at night. Night owls tend to be more bothered by the changes than people who like mornings. Also, there is a spike in heart attacks during the first week of daylight savings time. People are safer drivers during daylight hours, and researchers have found that daylight saving time reduces lethal car crashes and many pedestrian strikes. Lastly, Arizona and Hawaii don't observe daylight saving time at all. Now you won't be in the dark about daylight saving time. For Girl TV, I'm Jamie. Bye!
Hi, I'm Karyani, and today I will be talking to you about the first day of spring, also called the vernal equinox. Now, you are probably wondering what equinox even means. The word equinox derives from the Latin words meaning equal night and refers to the time when the sun crosses the equator. So during the vernal equinox, day and night are the same length all around the world. It is important to note that while the March equinox marks the beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere, like right here in the United States, it marks the start of autumn in many parts of the southern hemisphere, like Australia, Madagascar, and South Africa. For those of you who are unsure when spring really starts, it starts on March 20th. Also, here are some facts that I found out. First, the date of the vernal equinox is significant to Christianity because Easter always falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. Second, it is also probably no coincidence that the Egyptians built the Great Sphinx so that it points directly towards the sun on the day of the vernal equinox. I hope you learned something new on this Smart segment. For Girl TV, I'm Karyani. Bye!
This segment was brought to you by Alton and Karen Fessel, helping girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm here today with Mr. Bruce Holst, a botanist who has been to some of our world's tropical rainforests and works right here at Selby Botanical Gardens. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today, Mr. Bruce.
Welcome.
Can you tell me, for those people who haven't been at the Selby before, what this place is all about?
Well, right now we're standing in one of our non-public greenhouses. We call it greenhouse number 7. And it's one of the most special places, I think, at Selby Gardens because it has probably 1,000 different species of plants that grow right here in this greenhouse. And if you look around just a little bit, you'll see that many of them are mounted on wood or in special pots. That's because they're epiphytic plants, those plants that grow upon other plants. So for any botanist who works in the tropics, coming in here is a real special experience because they get to see things they'll never see in the wild.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
First of all, can you help us understand what a botanist is?
Yeah, a botanist is simply a scientist who studies plants. And that can be the study of what plants are called, how they're related to one another, what their physiology is, how they're, where they grow. And so all the different aspects of science relating to plants is under the field of botany.
How long have you been working as a botanist?
Well, I've been working as a botanist for close to 30 years. 17 of those years here at Selby Botanical Gardens.
What do you like most about your job?
Well, I think the most exciting thing for me is being able to discover new kinds of plants and to see them in the wild and to help classify them. And ultimately, our major goal is to help conserve the flora of the world.
Is there a special training or education required to become a botanist?
Yes, in general there is. Botanists are biologists, so in order to become a botanist or biologist, you need to have a good founding in science. You need to study the physical and chemical sciences and especially the life sciences. And I think one of the most important things about being a botanist is to have a love for plants. You want to be able to be comfortable with them and enjoy them and to appreciate, I think, how they grow in the wild. Because plants growing in the wild is really a very special thing, and keeping them intact and in a way that they can succeed and grow and provide both for humans and for animals all the wonderful things that plants do.
Tell us about your experience in the rainforest.
Well, my most recent experience was just today. I returned from Venezuela early in the morning. I was there for 1 month, and our project there was to do an inventory of a very special mountain called the Tepuy. And these mountains are found only in northern South America, mostly in Venezuela. And so we flew by helicopter up to the top of one of the mountains. We spent 8 days there conducting an inventory of all the plants that grew there. It's a very special and wonderful place. The scenery is incredible. The plants are very, very fascinating. And so our ultimate goal there is to look at the flora of the mountain and perhaps help to see how climate change is going to impact the composition or the kinds of plants that grow there.
I bet that was fun.
It was a blast, yeah.
Is there anything unique about the plants here at Selby?
Yeah, Selby Gardens has a very rich and diverse collection of species, as we were looking at just all around us. It's amazing. But what makes our collection extremely unique is that most of the plants that we grow are epiphytes. And about 10% of all plants in the world are epiphytic plants. And in Florida we have a lot, Spanish moss for example, butterfly orchid, shoestring fern. But when you get into the tropics, especially in the mountains of the Andes or in Borneo for example, you find a lot of plants that are epiphytic. They grow on branches on top of other plants basically. They're not parasitic, but they use their hosts for support and to get better access to light.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite plant or flower you work with?
Yeah, I have a couple of groups of plants that I work with. Bromeliads, for example, is one of the groups. There are about 3,500 species of bromeliads, mostly in the New World tropics, and I find them very interesting and beautiful group of plants to study. What
advice would you give girls like me who want to become a botanist when they grow up?
Go camping, get out in the wild. I think that's the first thing that anybody can do and gain an appreciation and a respect and a love for nature. I think that's the most important thing. And then as you progress in school, taking sciences and volunteering at places like Selby Gardens or any other botanical garden or nature conservancy sort of organization, I think is a wonderful way to get into the field of botany.
Well, I have certainly learned a lot about botanists and what they do. Thank you again for giving us such a great education. For Girl TV, I'm Rachel. Bye.
This segment was brought to you by Mark Kamen and Associates, helping girls be strong, smart, and bold.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and today I'm here with Miss Diane Creasy, who is the Director of Marketing at Selby Botanical Gardens. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Miss Diane, how did you decide that you wanted this job?
Well, I've been in marketing for actually over 30 years, and I've done marketing all over the world. And while I was traveling, I would also frequent botanical gardens in different countries. So when this job became available, I thought, oh, what a great, environment to be in and to practice marketing for events. And I was very attracted to the tranquility of the botanical gardens.
How long have you worked at Selby Gardens?
I'm pretty new. I've been here only 4 months, and I'm proud to say that we are really moving the needle in terms of event promotion and some of the membership things that we're doing here at Selby.
As Director of Marketing, what are your main responsibilities?
Well, if you look at what the classical training of marketing is, it really revolves around 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. So when you think about it in terms of that, you always need a good product. You always have to have a great environmental place, either it be close to the customer or what the customer wants, in this case the botanical gardens. And price, you have to be in the price point that the market will bear. And of course, promotion is all about getting the word out about what you're doing here at Botanical Gardens.
What do you like most about your job?
What I like most about my job is the interaction, I would think, with the outside community. I think that there's so many people that are so inspired by visiting Marie Selby Botanical Gardens, and I love all the aspects of promoting that.
What has been the most interesting thing you have seen in nature?
I would have to say what really inspires me is this bow tree behind us. And what's inspirational for me about that is that Buddha got his spiritual enlightenment by meditating under a bow tree. So when I first came to Selby Gardens and saw this bow tree, I was very attracted to it, and that's why I picked this location for us to have our little interview.
I did some research and found that you have traveled to a lot of other countries. How were you able to travel there?
Well, in marketing at a very young age, in my early 20s, I was assigned to doing some work in England. So I was very excited by taking an international assignment, And I just started doing it right away in my 20s, and one international assignment led to another. So I ended up living and working in England, Paris, France, Germany, India, Mexico, and it's just been a terrific career.
What was your favorite country you traveled to?
Absolutely, before you ever leave this planet, you've got to go see Paris. Paris, France is the architecture, the sights, the sounds, the smells that are happening in Paris are bar none the best in the world, and Monaco. So Monte Carlo, Monaco, and Paris, France, and any of the southern region of France are my favorite.
After you traveled to all of those different countries, what made you want to stay in Sarasota?
Well, because for most of my adult career, I was on an airplane traveling throughout the world, and I really wanted to set up roots and get involved with the local community. So I have been traveling here since I was 17 years old, and I got inspired at the Katazan, the Ringling Mansion there, when I was 17. And I told my aunt that was traveling with me at the time that someday I would buy a house here and I would settle in Sarasota, and ended up I did.
What advice would you give to girls who want to grow up and have a job like yours?
Well, the first thing that I'm going to say is stay in school. There's plenty of time to get married, plenty of time to have children. So important to have the fundamental education. Your bachelor's degree, your master's degree. I have both. It's taken me around the world. And my best advice is find a coach or a mentor, another woman that you really admire, you think that she has a lot to bring and to offer you, and have her coach you through your career. It's really valuable. Every athlete has a coach. Every good marketing person, no matter what you're doing in business, you need a coach that will guide you through and help you to avoid pitfalls and bad choices. So really, stay true to yourself. Find out what you have passion for. For me, it's marketing. For you, it might be something else. But go after what you're passionate about, and don't leave it on the table. Go for it full force. Pursue your dream, get your education, and get a coach.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Ms. Diane.
My pleasure. And remember, girls out there, you can do it because you can.
For Real TV, I'm Rachel. Bye.
Bye.